What is up guys, Aqua Supreme here, back with another video. Sorry, I know I've been quite quiet this past week. Work has just been hectic and life has been hectic. But I'm back and I promise, I shouldn't promise, but I promise to get at least 2 videos up a week. Going to try and hit 3 videos a week, but it is quite difficult with everything else going on. So I'll do my best on that department. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that, but I am back hopefully to provide some videos for you guys to enjoy. Hopefully you do enjoy them. Otherwise I'm making these for nothing. So in today's topic of this video is going to be why are my Neon Tetras dying, why do Neon Tetras die, that type of thing. And the reason for me making this video is I recently lost 2 of my fish, 2 of my Neon Tetras. I lost the one a couple of days ago, and then the next day I lost another one, unfortunately. I checked today and it doesn't seem like I have any losses today, so hopefully that is over and done with. But I did unfortunately lose 2, and that's why I decided to make this video for you guys, just to inform you guys on some of the things that might contribute towards your Neon Tetras death. So the first thing is going to be stress. Something that is important to know about Neon Tetras is they are bred in their millions and millions and kept in their millions and sold in their millions over a year's time. So there are many of these fish sold to many fish stores or pet shops around the world, and that can lead to stress. Water parameter differences. Water parameter differences that will also lead to stressful situations. Not getting fed enough, similar to fish stores. So what happens with not getting fed enough? As I said, these fish are kept in their millions. So it is difficult to make sure that each and every single fish is fed properly and is eating. And then they are sold in the hundreds to fish stores, and it is also very hard. It's easier, but it's also very hard to make sure that each and every single individual fish is eating, and that might lead to stress inside of the fish. It is a lot of moving around, a lot of different water parameters, temperature differences, so that can contribute towards the fish's stress. Something else is when your fish is kept in a fish store, a lot of people are walking by each and every single day. That might cause stress. The fish do get used to it eventually, but they are going to stress out, and you do get those few that will stress out even if it does occur each and every single day. For how long they are still going to get stressed during those situations. Another thing that can cause stress inside of your Neon Tetra or to your Neon Tetra is going to be loneliness. So something that most beginners do not know is Neon Tetras are a schooling or showing fish. So it is important to buy them and keep them in schools of about 8 and more. You can go above that, there isn't any problem, but do make sure your tank is big enough to keep at least 8. If you do not want to go 8, maybe, just maybe, you can do 5, but definitely I would not advise anyone to go lower than 5 Neon Tetras at a time. They do get lonely, they like to be in schools. What happens in the wild is when a predator might come by these fish from time to time, they do like to bunch up and act as a bigger fish, to give that illusion as a bigger fish, a more scary fish if you might will, and that will scare off most of the time the predator, and they do feel more comfortable and safer when they are with their friends and family members, if you might get family members inside of them. So that is how they feel safer. So keep them in schools, buy them in schools. Do not purchase 1, 2 or 3 of these fish. 5 and above, definitely. Another thing that will cause fish's stress is going to be different water parameters, as I mentioned, and this does not just include your temperature. This is also your water parameter differences. So these fish, as I said, are sold from a fish farm to a pet store to your tank eventually. And going through all those processes or all those sites, tanks, the water is going to differ from where they came from. Luckily, you do not have to worry about keeping them in as much as a natural environment. They have been inbred quite a lot throughout the years, so it isn't a necessity to keep them at those natural water parameters, but do keep them as close or as nearby to the water parameters that they came from to your tank. So ask around a little, maybe your fish store might help with the water parameters that they're keeping their fish in, but it is going to differ, unfortunately. The best thing that I can advise you guys to do is do a drip acclimation. So I did put a video, or I did do it in one of my videos. I think it was the first Pleco Common Ancestors unboxing video. So just go check that one out. I will leave a link not in the description. I will put a card up above in the right hand corner, so just go check that out. Do a drip acclimation, not just a normal temperature acclimation on your fish. That will be your best bet when getting your water parameters as close to the water parameters that they came from. Another thing that is going to contribute towards your fish's death is going to be bad genetics, bad genes. So these fish are bred, as I mentioned once again, these are bred in their millions, so you are going to get your fish with some bad genes. You are going to get some bent spines, you are going to get some finicky swimmers, some bladder issues. That is unfortunately going to happen. So it is based on luck when it comes to this department. What I can recommend you to do when buying Neon Tetras and making sure that you don't have bad genes is when purchasing it, just keep an eye on that fish for a while. Go to that fish store more than once. If it's nearby, close by to you, just go every single day, or not every single day, but go more than one time. Keep an eye on that fish. Ask the pet store owner or the employees that work at that fish shop if these fish are fine, if they are having trouble swimming, and also do a bit of self-research on that fish. Keep an eye on them. That is mostly how I can advise you on bad genetics, but unfortunately it does happen. Next thing that will contribute to your fish's death is going to be weak immune systems. I don't know why I did that, but weak immune systems does happen quite often, and the reasons or the contributing factors to weak immune systems is going to be things such as a sudden drop or rise in temperature, a sudden drop or rise in water parameters, and being malnourished, so not being fed enough, not being fed at all. That does also occur, and then you might get your situations of your fish are being fed but they aren't getting the right nutrients in, nutritional value, nutrients. They aren't getting the right nutrients in. So I know that it isn't the best thing, or I know that you do not always want to spend that much money on fish food, but do not go for the cheapest brands. That is something that I did start off done me, and they did do okay, they did grow in size, but it is advisable to get some fish food with more nutrients in, but more proteins and all those things. Get that type of fish food, pay more, but it will eventually help. It will, trust me, it's going to help. And another thing that will contribute to weak immune systems is going to be low oxygen levels inside of your tank. So I've seen a lot of times, like I've used an internal filter once, and I think I just placed it low enough or something. If you have a tank with a lot of depth to it, do not place your internal filter very low, or you place it at such an angle where there is no water or surface agitation and that also occurs when the internal filter is very low inside of your tank. It does not reach that surface area. It does move the water a little on the surface, but not as much as is needed. So just be careful when buying an internal filter. Canister filter I think will be fine. Yes, that does more than enough. So canister filters are fine, and sponge filters are fine. Hang on the back filters, some filtration systems, those are fine, but do make sure that there is water surface agitation inside of your tank, because that is how oxygen penetrates the water inside of your tank. That is important to know. The next thing that will contribute to your fish's death is going to be illnesses. So illnesses are found all over the world, are found in every single type of fish. There is no fish immune to any sort of illness. Your most common illnesses are your fungal and bacterial illnesses, or your parasitical illnesses. So things such as your internal parasites, or your fin rots, your fungus issues on your fish, those things that are going to contribute to your fish's death. And that is actually how I lost one of my Neon Tetras. He had some fungus on him, don't know how, don't know why, but it did happen, and I did treat that tank. So just keep an eye on your fish. Do monitor them daily. Make sure there aren't any fungal, bacterial or parasitical infections on that fish. The best bet for preventing things such as your infections, while it's impossible to prevent it, but you can pre-prevent it, if that makes sense. So that by that I mean quarantining your fish. Do quarantine your fish for some time. 3 weeks, I know it is a very dragging situation, because I'll wait about a week's time and then I'm like, okay, I'm over this. I want to put my fish inside of my tank. And I think that is unfortunately how I did lose that one fish. And if I wasn't careful enough, I could have lost all of my fish. So wait those 3 weeks time. Do quarantine your fish. If you see any slight differences inside of your fish, make sure they are eating. If they are getting skinny, if they are eating but still staying skinny, not growing, that is most likely an internal parasite. So do treat them for internal parasites or parasitical infections. If you see some white fungus type of look on their scales or on the fish, that is going to be fungus and bacterial. It is very different, or well, the difference between bacterial and fungal is almost the same, I would say, but there is a difference. So your best bet is going to be take a picture if you do see something different or do see something weird on your fish, and do take that to your local fish store, or there are a lot of fish groups out there. Do post the picture on that group and ask about what's going on. Maybe it might be a fish maturing, maybe it might be a bacterial or fungal infection. So quarantine your fish. That is the most advice I can give on that section of infections. Now the last thing that is going to contribute or not contribute, that will kill your fish, is going to be Neon Tetra disease. So Neon Tetra disease, it's not as known as other diseases, but it has been around for quite some time. So there has been some research done on Neon Tetra disease, but unfortunately there is still a 99% chance that Neon Tetra disease will kill your fish. So the best way to tell if your fish has Neon Tetra disease is going to be by tumors actually growing on your fish's bodies or their mouths. It's usually at their mouth sections. I do have some fish that look like they have a smallish type of tumor on them. I do have a close eye on those fish, but it doesn't look as bad as it's supposed to be, but maybe it's just the beginning stage. I do have a close eye on those fish, but that is going to be the best way to tell if your fish has Neon Tetra disease. Something else might be your fish is getting very skinny, so something internal parasites. That is also something that can show that your fish has Neon Tetras disease. but it is quite difficult to tell if your fish has Neon Tetra disease. I've said Neon Tetra disease so many times now. So if your fish does have Neon Tetra disease, the best thing is going to be, unfortunately, to euthanize that fish. And I know there are a lot of people who are not comfortable with euthanizing or culling fish, so I do not like it as much. I have gotten quite used to it. Working in a fish store, you do experience a lot of deaths, and I will also one day experience a lot of deaths. So I am going to have to get used to it, unfortunately. But if you do not want to euthanize your fish, what you can do is just keep them in a separate tank and do not mix any equipment of that tank with the rest of your fish tanks, because it does spread. It is a contagious disease. It will spread from fish to fish, and eventually it will kill all of your fish. So it is unfortunately a process you must take, either euthanize or separate that fish. That is going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you did learn something. I did provide some solutions, or most solutions, for what you can do if you do encounter any of these situations or any of those infections or bacterial diseases. So I do hope you learned something, and I do hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like, do subscribe, and drop a comment if you will, or if you'd like to. But that is going to be it for me, guys. Until next time, peace.